Hi everyone, it's Hayley, and today I'm actually addressing the parents and giving you a bit of advice during Welcome Week. So moving to university can be a really daunting experience, particularly if you're in the majority of people that are sort of straight out of college or sixth form and they live in the family home and they're going straight into university from there. Which is the path that I went down, and I know it's not everyone's path, and people have gap years and things like that, but the majority of people are young people moving from their family home into on-campus accommodation or sometimes private accommodation, and that is terrifying. Like, I did it 3 years ago. It's terrifying. And really, I just have a few little tips if you're a parent looking at your child being terrified of this experience and how it's going to change their lives for a bit, then, these little things might help you. So first of all, the main thing that I think is important is packing home comforts. So if your child is sort of debating what they should be taking with them when they move out of the family home, make sure that if there's something that they really treasure, like, I don't know, even a childhood toy or a teddy bear, something like that, that they feel they can take it with them. And especially if it's something that they use at home quite a lot. So for me as well, I took a mug that I drink tea out of quite a lot. And just little things like that, in the end, like, even though they are just little things, will make a difference. It just helps the transition be a bit smoother. And definitely, if that's something that your child has, then why not sort of sit down, pack with them, and maybe even sort of make them a little care package. So, if you've got a child that's particularly anxious about leaving home, maybe put together like a little box or something and little things inside, maybe new things, but maybe things they already have, and just put it in a little box for them, a little care package. I mean, perhaps as well, that's something you could take to them later on. So if they sort of have been in university accommodation for a few weeks and they're quite homesick, maybe take it then. It's entirely up to you, but I think that's a good idea. I know that all the home comforts I had were really important to me in the end, and whenever I felt homesick, it felt really nice to have those. So my second tip is make sure that your child knows they have a place at home. Really, this is just for the majority of students who are coming from the family home. But just make sure they know they have a place. I suppose even if they don't actually live with you at home, it might be quite nice to just give them a gentle reminder that they do have a place, that they haven't just been kicked out as such, that they haven't been forced off into the big wide world to just get on with it, because that is just, there's so much pressure starting university anyway, that having that on top of it is just not nice. Like, I suppose there's sort of the cliche of once your child has left for university, you can, redecorate their bedroom, you can get a tenant. That's obviously quite a common thing that people joke about as well. But obviously to an extent, it's fine to make those jokes, but I think it is important as well, if they are particularly scared about moving out and starting their lives, that you do just remind them that, I don't know, they can come home for a roast dinner every few weeks or something like that. Don't, make them feel like that's it. They're on their own. They're financially independent. They're, they've got to get a job. They've got to just get out and never come back, because that, I think, will just make it harder. Like, it's not something that should happen immediately. It's a gradual process. I mean, across the 3 years of me being at university, I've changed so much, and even sort of second year, I probably wasn't ready to go into the big wide world, get a job, everything like that. It was really at the end of my degree that I felt ready. And I suppose as well that there is the difference between going out and getting a job, but also living alone. And I think a lot of people don't want to live alone straight away. I mean, I've come back to my mum's house, and yeah, I think it's just nice to remind them that they're not completely out there on their own. So my last bit of advice, which really comes into its own in Welcome Week, is just give them some time and some space. It's very tempting, particularly if you're sort of not from the area where the university is and you've come down to help your child move in, and so you're staying in the area a bit longer than just the one day. It can be very tempting to not give them any space to settle and to sort of constantly be ringing them like, oh, you okay? Have you finished unpacking? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying give your child radio silence. That's not what I mean. But it's just sort of letting them guide it. So if they ring you, if they text you first, you know, it's quite an important, like, 24 hours, particularly if you're staying in the campus accommodation. That first 24 hours is so important for, like, settling in and making friendships and first impressions and things, and it's quite important to just let that happen organically. And if they're constantly running off to their room because they need to take a phone call from you, and all you're really doing is just checking they're okay, you know, it makes that harder. So, you know, just give them the time and space that they want. And I suppose if they call you, if they text you and they want you to meet up with them the next day, and, you know, they've had enough for a few hours of being alone, then that's fine, because they're guiding that, so it's okay. But yeah, just try, as hard as it is, just try and let them be independent, and, you know, just trust that they'll be okay, and if they're not, that they'll tell you. So yeah, and I think especially during Welcome Week as well, there is so much going on campus that if they don't get in touch, don't panic. It'll just be because they're busy, because they're taking part in the Welcome Week activities, or, you know, they're meeting their course leader and their course mates and things like that. So yeah, I know it's a tricky one, but if you can, just try and let them get on with it. And particularly in Welcome Week, just let them go and have these new experiences, because honestly, some of the best experiences of university do happen in those first 2 weeks. There's things that I can still remember that happened in Welcome Week that, you know, are memories I will cherish forever and I'll never forget. So yeah, if you can, try and let them fly the nest and see what the world has to offer. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope if you're an anxious parent that helped a little bit. Obviously, there is only so much I can say as somebody who was a student, not a parent, so I don't know it from a parent perspective. But if there's anything else that you think I should have added to this, then please feel free to comment below and sort of let us know what you think is a very good piece of advice for parents. But overall, just try and enjoy it. Try and enjoy that, you know, your child is moving on, or if you're the student, just try and enjoy that you're going out and doing something new and being your own person. And yeah, it'll be a fantastic experience, hopefully. If it was anything like it was for me, you will never ever regret going to university. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.